Most people think great acting requires agonizing over personal trauma or plotting out the exact delivery of every single line before the camera even rolls. But scripting your emotions in advance puts you in a vacuum. You end up performing a rehearsed idea of reality, completely disconnected from the actual present moment unfolding around you. In the early days of the group theater, this internal method was the gold standard, championed by influential teachers like Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler. Sanford Meisner looked at that method and walked the other way. He stripped away the inward recall and directed all of his attention outward. His core philosophy was simple. An actor has to stop thinking about themselves entirely. The focus belongs squarely on the other people in the immediate environment. True presence on stage requires you to abandon your ego. It forces you to stop projecting your own preconceived narrative and actually respond to what is happening right in front of you. To see how this works in practice, let's within a fictional movie pitch called The Dunking Booth Chronicles, starring Gary Delabate, known as Baba Booey. In the opening chapter, Gary loses his longtime corporate job. We find him isolated in a dimly lit apartment, hyper-focused on his mounting bills and his own profound sense of loss. Operating with this rigid corporate mindset makes Gary the metaphorical equivalent of a bad actor. He is completely trapped in his own head, paralyzed and unable to react to the changing world outside his door. The problem for Gary is the same as the problem for a novice acting student. How do you break out of that isolated internal vacuum and discover a genuine, authentic response to life? Meisner built an exercise called repetition. Two actors sit facing each other. One makes a surface-level physical observation, like you're wearing a red shirt, repeating it. As the loop continues, words lose literal meaning, shifting based entirely on the other's real-time behavior. The goal here is to completely eliminate line readings. By stripping away the pressure of figuring out what to say, the actor is forced to respond spontaneously, physically and vocally, to the behavior they observe. Meisner originally trained as a classical pianist at the precursor to the Juilliard School. He applied musical ear training to dialogue, teaching students to listen to the underlying rhythm of behavior rather than just the lyrics. This practice shifts the actor's baseline. It prioritizes the act of listening and reacting, training the performer to trust their impulses rather than a pre-planned internal script. Gary's version of the repetition exercise happens in Chapter 3 of our pitch, when he takes a job working inside a carnival dunk tank. Exposed to a crowd of strangers, he has no script. He takes constant abuse from hecklers, with only fractions of a second to react. Gary survives those early shifts, the exact same way a Meisner student survives an acting class. He stops worrying about himself and learns to instantly read the physical characteristics and shifting behaviors of the patrons throwing the baseballs. If an actor trained in the Meisner technique, someone like Sam Rockwell, stepped into Gary's oversized clown shoes, they would rely entirely on this outward focus to build the character from the ground up. This constant need to read the people in front of him eventually breaks Gary's habit of dwelling on his own past. By applying that same level of acute listening to his fellow performers, Gary begins to build genuine camaraderie with the carnival family. In the dunk tank, there is no room for pretense. Success depends entirely on whether Gary can maintain that absolute, undivided presence. In the final stage of Meisner's training, the actor takes the spontaneous, responsive emotion generated by the repetition exercise and brings it directly into a piece of scripted dramatic text. Meisner cultivated this specific milestone over decades of teaching at the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York. Gary hits his own version of this milestone in Chapter 5. When the carnival faces a sudden financial crisis, he stops reacting to hecklers and starts actively rallying the townsfolk to save the show. He successfully integrates his newly discovered, outward-focused identity into the actual script of his daily life, finding a lasting sense of community and purpose. Meisner taught that to ever be an interesting actor, you must be authentic. And to be authentic, you must embrace who you really are, regardless of what the rest of the world thinks of you. Whether you are an actor performing a pivotal scene or a man finding redemption in a dunk tank, emotional resonance requires dropping the internal monologue and paying absolute attention to the people standing right in front of you.